Welcome in episode 60 of Ramie and Drew live on YouTube, Twitter, Facebook. You can follow us, like us, subscribe, rate, review, tell a friend. We're on YouTube, Spotify, and Apple if you're not catching this live. I am Ramie Makloff. That is Drew Flaggy. We are a couple of Milwaukee comedians who talk about sports, whatever else might come to our mind over the course of a particular show. Drew, how are you this evening, my friend?
I just saw Inside Out 2. That was
I heard good things. Was it good?
Yeah, it was good. It's not as good as the first one in my opinion, but it's good.
I heard it was better.
Oh, well, they lied.
I never saw the first one. So who am I?
You should
who am I
see
to say?
the first one's good. The first one is before Disney started doing stupid shit.
So not too woke?
No, it's not the woke thing, dude. We're not going to get into woke. It's just bad storytelling. No, Inside Out's good.
Okay, good. All right, good. I'm glad.
You want to talk about the Acolyte? You want to talk about the Force being female?
I don't.
You know, the Jedi have always been stupid, it turns out.
I haven't watched it, but I hear not great things. And it's not just not great things from the people who are mad at Disney. Because, you know, there is that element of it where people are just going to hate whatever they put out just because, you know, the war on Disney or whatever. But I hear this goes beyond that, and it's just bad. It's just not good. So I don't know if I even will watch it. I don't know if I want it to be a part of my personal Star Wars canon. Like, if I never watch it and don't acknowledge it, it's not part of my Star Wars story. Does that make sense?
Yeah, for a lot of people, though, the sequel trilogy doesn't even count as Star Wars canon. Because for a lot of people, and I would be one of them included, I refuse to believe that after Return of the Jedi, after they listened to Yub Nub and they partied with the Ewoks and Luke had a little funeral for only Darth Vader, and then the Emperor got vaporized twice in the Death Star exploding, that all those characters ended up the way they did. Like Leia is a warmongering idiot. Han Solo's a deadbeat dad that goes around the galaxy with his dog friend, and then they lost the Millennium Falcon, and then we're just kind of cruising by a desert planet that's definitely not Tatooine, and just found. They're like, oh, there it is, right outside the window. There it is. There's the ship we lost for fucking 20 years. Just right, we were just the galaxy's a big place, and we were just happened to drive past the planet.
I mean,
it's dumb.
Yeah,
it's
that's
bad.
what happened. Like, what's so crazy about that?
Luke tried to after turning his father back to like the light side and redeeming the most evil man in the fucking galaxy. He decides he's gonna kill his nephew in his sleep because he had a bad dream about him. Like, dude, the sequels all suck. Like, it's not like. Well, The Force Awakens was good. No, The Force Awakens is stupid. The Last Jedi is really bad. And then the fucking Rise of Skywalker is batshit and crazy. Or it's insane. It's fucking, dude, the title card, it says it all. Somehow Palpatine returned. Thanks, J.J. Abrams. Fuck, let's talk about the Brewers. It's just, I don't... J.J. Abrams had to unscrew up, right? The guy who wrote The Last Jedi, this isn't a fucking thing. Like, I'm not making this up. He said he doesn't like to write movies that don't have a definitive ending. And he wrote the second part of a 3-part trilogy. And he was like, yeah, I just cut all the ties. Like, there was nowhere else for JJ to go in the next movie. It's like, you wrote the middle part of a story and you're like, well, it just ended right now. It's like if the Hobbits got the fucking Rivendell and they're like, cool, the ring's destroyed now, bye everybody, and then they never walk to the fucking volcano.
You keep finding ways to take this segment to new levels of nerd.
I read when I went up to my parents, when I went up to the cabin a couple of weeks ago, I read I read the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, The Last Ronin comic book. Just my dad was working remotely on like a Friday, and I just sat there drinking coffee, reading comic books like it was Bring Your Kid to Work Day, and I'm 34. So I enjoyed that. I was kicking my feet. I was having such a good time.
And yet you found a way to take it even to another level. What was it? A Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles book of what?
Well, it's a comic. It's a graphic novel.
Yeah, of course.
It's The Last Ronin. It's
because awesome. That's what adults read.
Graphic novels, yeah.
Yeah, adults don't read comic books. They read graphic novels.
Yeah, my girlfriend just grabbed it off the shelf right now. Oh, here, for me to show. So
let me see. Let me see that. I mean, it's great artwork.
Oh, it's beautiful artwork. It's really good. Yeah. Actually, it's got art styles. It's got art styles from 3 different artists that have worked on the Turtles over the last 35 years. So,
shit.
Yeah, the original Kevin Eastman, he did the original art style for The Last Ronin. I won't spoil that it's Michelangelo. He in his memories of what was going on, they did it in the black and white style that the original Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. I don't say nerd stuff, dude. Everyone grew up with the Turtles. And then this artist Ben Brandt, who's the fucking best artist right now working. He did the flashbacks of how we got to the present day, which is technically the future, and those are done in a different art style. It's a really fun comic book. It's neat. A lot of people die, and there's a lot of blood and gore. It's not a cute dude. It's not
they make a movie. I hope they make a movie of it because it sounds.
They are, and they're gonna make a video game, but it's got to be R-rated because it's bloody. That's my girlfriend making that sound.
Yeah. I don't mind having her just be the laugh track of the show. I think it adds something.
Yeah, but now everyone's gonna know.
Put a crowd mic out there.
Yeah, we'll just do crowd shots with just her sitting.
All right.
She's gonna go ask you.
I was gonna ask you where you wanted to start. If you want to start with the Brewers or the Bucks, because there's a lot of books, rumors, and speculation and craziness going around ahead of the NBA draft. But you said Brewers, so we'll start Brewers.
They did find a way again.
Again, yes, they did. I'll fix that. Hey, man, I'm a one-man team over here on the technical side. All right, there are going to be mistakes. All right, there we go. Cool. All right, Brewers find a way again, 3-1 over the Rangers today, and it was Drew. It was a bullpen game, and they give up 1 run. It doesn't seem. And look, man, they're not going to go 162-0. They just had a 3-game losing streak. 5-6 days ago they had a 3-game, something like that.
Yeah, they lost the first 3 against the Padres.
But I mean, they more times than not they seem to just find a way. And the pitching again, even if it's a bullpen game tonight, Bryce Wilson goes 6 scoreless innings. He gave up 3 runs in the middle of Minor, who started, and then Figueroa, who closed it out. It's like every day it's somebody different, whether it's somebody coming out of the bullpen who's giving you a big performance or somebody in the lineup who's getting a big hit for you. They just find a way, man. And I said it last time, I was more optimistic than most people, even though I'm a Cubs fan. I was more optimistic than most people, including Brewers fans, about this team, but they might be even better than I thought. I think they will cool off. I think they will regress a little bit, but I don't think they'll regress a whole lot, or even back to my optimistic outlook on what this team could be to start the season. I think they're better than even what I thought they were.
Well, and that's also, remember, we don't have Devin Williams right now. Yeah,
exactly.
3 of our starting pitchers are done for the year. We just got Dallas Keuchel, which that's a name I haven't heard in over 40 years.
I was going to bring that up. I honestly, and you didn't either. And he's not really. I didn't know he was still pitching. He's been in the minors this whole time.
Yeah, I didn't know.
Figure shit out.
I texted my dad, and I was like, I didn't even know Dallas Keuchel was still alive. I was like, I thought he died before Willie Mays. I didn't know Dallas Keuchel was out there.
I had no idea. I honestly thought, I was like, wait, isn't he in a play-by-play booth somewhere? I was thinking of Dallas Braden. He's in the A's booth right now. Different Dallas.
Yeah, I was like I squinted my eyes and I'm like, we got former Cy Young Award winner for cash consideration. What the fuck?
But I said this in a text to you when you told me the news, knowing the Brewers, they'll send this guy to the pitch lab, and he was apparently about ready. Again, like I said, getting over injuries, I think. He was
Yeah.
figuring shit out in the minors, but he was about ready to come up to the big leagues anyways. I think the Brewers, whatever's left to get out of Dallas Keuchel, I would bet the Brewers over anybody to get it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, we did it with Wade Miley twice. Like, you might as well see what you can do with them. It's my thing is like and this is, you said bullpen game again tonight, but or not tonight, but like the last couple games against the Padres, we had bullpen games and stuff. I just if we get a guy that can just start a game and go 4 innings at this point, I'm good with it. I'm like, because those bullpen guys, I just don't want to. I don't want to like blow their arms out or anything, because those guys are in the bullpen for a reason. They're really good, but who knows how long their major league careers are going to be? Like, what do some of these bullpen guys go for? Maybe 5-6 years.
But like you said, we haven't even seen Devin Williams yet this season.
Yeah.
You would imagine that when he comes back, the 9th inning is obviously his. Anytime you're winning or it's a close game, sometimes even the 8th inning will be his. So it will lighten everybody's load, and not just in terms of the innings, but how big the innings are that they're pitching. Because any pitcher will tell you those high leverage innings, guys on base, close score, whatever the case might be, middle of the order, they take more out of you than just any other regular old run of the mill.
Well, also, it's like the other thing too that I'm still like going to be cautiously optimistic about is, I mean, what if Brandon Woodruff is a bullpen guy for an inning here and there? If he can come back and even throw, I mean, he's on the roster. So like there's a lot of things where like a couple of our friends have messaged me just being like, with the Padres series, they were talking to me about like, we need starting pitching. I'm like, I don't disagree that, but like, you don't want to go. I don't want the Brewers to empty out the minors this year and go get like a gold chip 1-year rental starting pitcher. Part of me did say like I would bring back Zach Greinke. He's not throwing as hard as he did, but he's another reliable guy that you could just kind of get.
If you did make that type of trade, like a frontline starter rental, you may as well have kept Corbin Burns. You know what I mean? Because you're going to have to give up the same type of package that you got in return for Corbin Burns, when you could have just had him and let it run out and let him go explore free agency. They're not going to do that. Like, I'm telling you right now, they're not.
Well, yeah, exactly.
I'm not saying they won't make a trade or won't get a starter, but they're not going to do that. They're not going to make that type of trade because they could have that guy right now.
Well, the other thing that the other thing now that like that, we're getting close to July and like the trade deadline is going to start looming pretty quickly. Like, I think it's shit or get off the pot with Willy Adames. And I was very skeptical. I sold all my Willy Adames stock before the season started. I'm back in.
Good.
Yeah. I'm all in. I'm like, you know what? If this is the version of Willy Adames that we've been waiting for and that we're just going to get, I'm good with signing him. I think the Brewers need to do that. I also am kind of the mind of, with like William Contreras, like, pay him. Just why let him make fucking $3 million a year to do what he's doing every single day?
What is his contract situation, William Contreras?
We already
talked about Willy Adames.
When we acquired William Contreras, he had 5 years of like major league control. Like,
left?
Yeah, so like after this year, I think we have 3 more with him.
Oh, then just ride that out. I mean, if you can come to some kind of reasonable extension and buy out some of those free agent years and give him some security, fine. But yeah, I'm looking at it right now. He's only 26. I would ride it out with him.
A 6-year deal? 5-6 years?
Yeah, I mean, if you could, and the Brewers have done that with other guys in the past. They did that with Christian Yelich. They did it with Ryan Braun. They've done it with plenty of guys in the past.
And so where are we at with Yelich right now, too? How many does he have left on his contract? Does he have 3 or 4? 3? Because it was a 9-year deal. It was like a weird deal.
Contract. Let's see here. He signed a 9-year deal in 2020, so you still got 4 years.
Oh, okay. We still got. So I guess if you would do like a longer contract, if you would just try to lock up William Contreras in the last couple of years, just that's where he makes his money.
Yeah, you have Christian Yelich through 2029.
Yeah, I wouldn't. I'm to the point where I don't want to insult any of these players that are like basically all stars. Like, I don't know that maybe Contreras or Adames. I don't think Adames is an all star this year. Just I don't think he'll get the votes. I'm voting for him on the ballots. Contreras might, but I don't think he has the power numbers for the league to recognize him. I think he could be picked as an alternate. Probably not a starter.
I know Willie Adamas's contract situation, but you can't justify. And Joey Ortiz, if I'm not mistaken, was a shortstop by trade before he came over. So they would probably just slide him over to shortstop. I don't think being a first place team and I don't know, second best record, third best record in the National League right now. I haven't checked the standings today. You can't justify trading Willie Adames and going, well, we can't pay him, so we're going to get something for him while we can. If you were going to do that, the time to do it, and I know his stock, like you said, was low in the offseason, or lower than it is now. If you were going to trade Willie Adames for contract reasons, this past offseason was the time to do it. The season he's having and the position that if he was having the season he was having and they were in third place, you'd go, hell yeah, you trade that guy. That's what you do with that guy. You know what I mean? But when you're running away with the division heading into July, you don't trade a guy in the middle of your order. There's no way you can justify that. You think Brewers fans were pissed off about Corbin Burns and Craig Counsell and everything else that went on this offseason. Wait until you trade your centerpiece shortstop in the middle of a pennant race.
No, this would be like trading I don't know, let's just say hypothetically, if an organization was dumb enough to trade their closer being in first place.
Yeah.
Oh wait, we've done that.
Yeah. Well, but it wasn't like they're literally running away with it.
Yeah, but the Hader trade, how upset all the players were, and most of that roster isn't here anymore. Like when that happened, but like if you traded Willie Adames, that would destroy that clubhouse.
Yeah,
that's idiotic at this point. And I was the guy saying trade Willie Adames in the offseason. I was the guy that was telling. I was wrong. I'm flat out saying it right now. I was wrong about Willie Adames. He cut down on the swings and misses and the strikeouts, and he still waves and misses and stuff. But like he's taking good at bats. He takes deep at bats. He's had so many clutch hits this year, and it's like, yeah, I can't justify any reason to get rid of the goddamn guy.
No, but the Brewers can't. The Brewers can't on any level be sellers at the deadline.
No,
like if you want to stand pat or just make small moves, add a bullpen arm or like a bat off the bench or something like that. Okay, but there's no way that they can be sellers. That will not go over well.
With the way this bullpen has just been locked down all year long, and then we're going to be getting pieces back, and we got the pitching factory in the minors where they can just keep throwing guys up here and be like, you're pitching for one inning. Like those guys, it's like I can't, like, I'm okay with them going out and making a trade for a number 4. I'm cool with that.
Sure, yeah.
If you give up like an Owen Miller or in like, I don't know, some dude that's like ranked 10th in our minor league system, I'm fine with it.
By the way, I keep looking away because I'm watching the Cubs lose again. It's the bottom of the 8th. They're down 2-1 as we broadcast live on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter. Follow us on YouTube, Spotify, and Apple if you're not catching the slide.
Did you wake up to see what they did when the Cubs?
No, I watched that shit show. I stayed up and watched that shit show, Drew.
Yeah, my dad's friend called me a salty Brewers fan because I said,
you are.
Real wins did Craig get you yet this year? He's like, he was dealt a bad bullpen. I'm like, my team pitches with the bullpen the whole fucking game.
Yeah, but the Cubs bullpen is shit. He's not wrong.
Honest question. How can Justin Steele pitch 7 innings of shutout baseball and you got to get 6 outs? And they can't get 6 outs without giving up 5 runs.
Dude, if they converted,
it's mathematically impossible.
Drew, if they converted half the saves that they've blown this year, I think they'd be a game or a game and a half behind the Brewers and be the number 1 wild card team. Half of them, half of the saves that they blew, and they'd be right there on the Brewers' ass and leading the wild card pack.
Yeah, No, it's hard for me to be like, yeah, organizationally, maybe the Brewers are just better top to bottom than the Cubs.
They might be,
But
and I can't deny that.
But okay, so the Cubs did win a World Series, you know, but we're still waiting on that one. I don't think that this team this year is a World Series contender, but I think they're making some huge steps in the right direction.
By
Because
the way,
the thing is, I'm like, we don't have a pitching staff, right? If we had last year's pitching staff with this year's offense, I'd be like, yeah, we're taking that thing. But we just just the ship's crossing the night, or you call it hot dogs and hot dog buns or whatever. We're one off, just over and over again. I'm doing a doggy paddle. You're not even looking at me.
I see that. I see what you're doing. I see you. I see you paddling away over there.
The offense,
I was looking at the standings because as bad as the Cubs have looked, and Drew, I said this on our last show, and I'll say it again right now. Like for a while, I was going, oh, they're better than this. It's just a tough stretch. It's a 162 game season, then you go through shit like this. They might not be better than this, but if they can just be a little bit better than this, they're right back in things. I mean, they're 9.5 games out in the division, but it's not even July yet. But you look at the National League, and there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Let's see, 6, 7 teams right now that are somewhere between 5 games under 500 and 500. Like you have the teams at the top, you have like 2 or 3 teams at the top of the National League, 2 or 3 teams at the bottom, and then the middle is just a big bunch. Yeah. So they're not out of, if they make a move, they're not out of anything yet.
I was gonna say, aren't there only like 4 teams in the National League that are above 500?
Yeah.
This is gonna be like what was that? Was that the NFC? Was that like the West? Like when they like the Seahawks, like every team was in like they were all below 500 in the Seahawks.
No, there are 6 teams above 500 right now, and it's the 2 teams atop the 3 divisions: Milwaukee, St. Louis, Philadelphia, Atlanta, and then the Dodgers and the Padres. And the Padres are 1 game over 500. The Cardinals are 3 games over 500, so barely.
You're fucking welcome, Padres. Manny Machado, that was a gift.
You were talking about the winning a World Series thing. That leads to our question from Q. Comments on YouTube. You can comment on YouTube if you'd like. He says, serious question. What is different about this year's Brewers team? Can we trust them in September, October, and why? Drew, I don't know your answer to this. People never like my answer to this. I don't know that there is a whole lot different about this year's Brewers team. Can we trust them? Why will it be different in October and September? Because I always say to people, whether we're talking about the Brewers or the Packers or any organization that's put together a roster that can contend, just because it didn't work then doesn't mean it can't work, and it won't work now. You know what I mean? Baseball, and especially in baseball, because it's really just about who's hot at the right time, who's the pitcher going out there on a given day or a given night. Like that's why things could be different in September and October, because it's baseball, and baseball is weird, and especially the playoffs are very, very weird. And so that's why it could be different. This team has been good enough to get into the playoffs, which means they've been good enough to win a World Series. It just hasn't happened to this point. But that doesn't mean that it can't happen now. That's why it'll be different. It could be different, but materially, I don't think there is a whole lot different about this Brewers team, and that's okay.
No, I'm going to actually disagree with you.
Okay.
They manufacture runs. The biggest thing in my opinion,
That is true.
Here's what it is. It's a lot like that. I'm going to compare it to basketball for a second, where if you're missing jump shots, go to the line. Go to the rack, try to get fouled, and just reset your arc. Just reset your shot from the free throw line or something. If the Brewers draw a walk, which they've cut down on swings and misses, they don't chase outside the zone a whole lot. They work deep counts, and that's with a lot of the young players like Bryce Terang and Joey Ortiz, who, again, tonight was the guy who hit the clutch home run. Go ahead, homer. It's like these guys, like, they put the bat on the ball. And if you get a guy on base and then Pat Murphy's aggressive enough to make them go and steal bases, all right, maybe you're not gapping the ball. Maybe you're not driving it down the lines or spraying it around. but the Brewers get guys on base. Most of that lineup has speed. It's like the only guy who really doesn't is William Contreras and maybe Rhys Hoskins. Those are the only two that aren't really base burners. Everybody else up and down that lineup can run. Yelich can steal bases, Adames can steal bases, and those are your two guys in the middle of your order. Your leadoff hitter can steal, Jackson Chourio can steal at the bottom of the order. These guys get on base, and then what you're doing is if you're making contact and making these pitchers work, you're going to make them eventually throw a bad pitch. And you might be able to hit a single, but if you're already in motion, you're going first to third. The Brewers go first to third way more this year than they did last year.
Sure. No, on the bases, they are a different type of team. I'll give you that. I'm talking about,
but that puts pressure on a lot of really good teams.
For sure.
Last year, well, we just took 2 games, and there were games last year where if you sat there and watched the Brewer game and you saw, it's the 5th inning and we're down 3-0, we're probably not winning that game.
Like I'm watching the Cubs right now, who just gave up another run. They're down 3-1 in the bottom of the 8th, and I know they're not going to win this game. If they were up 3-1 in the bottom of the 8th, I would still say they might not win this game.
A lot of the times, like I'm looking at these games and like I coming into the year, I'm like, yeah, I'm going to watch here and there. I've been watching a lot more of the Brewers and stuff, and it's just like I've just been more invested in what they're doing. Because they're down by 3 or 4 runs. They might actually come back. They've had games where they've been down in the 9th inning and they've pushed other teams to bring their closer in to get an out.
Yeah.
Like what against the Padres, we were down 3 runs or we were down 4 runs. And then we hit a 3-run homer. It's like, we're right back in this thing. Like we tied it up in the 9th against the Padres in that ballpark. That's so hard to hit home runs in. Like as a team,
you're right. The makeup is a little bit different. I was talking more about the overall talent level or whatever the case might be. By the way, Q adds. I won't this pop up. Hold on 1 second. There we go. I'm just here for the gun show. Ramie is flexing on us today. Pew pew. Yeah, look at that. Look at that, boy. What? Look at that, boy. Been hitting that gym, boy. What?
I've been hitting that gym. Now my girlfriend's laughing.
Nobody's talking about you. He was talking about my gun show, all right, Drew? This isn't your time to shine. This ain't your time to flex.
Go get me a tank top. Go get me a tank top.
No. Madeline, please don't. There's really no need for that.
Don't dox her, dude.
There's no reason for that. But yeah, man, I think this Brewers team continues to do things like this. What's that you cut out, or was that the motorcycle?
I think talent wise, this team defensively is probably about the same. Maybe they're a little bit quicker in the outfield, but I think offensively they're not as talented. Maybe as
do you think?
I'm evaluating talent on like slugging and all the shit that everybody likes, the big numbers that everybody likes to see. But like as far as like mentality and approach, I think this is a way better team.
I told you before the show started, I can't turn on the air conditioner in this room, and so our time is limited because I'll be a glazed ham here in about 15 minutes. But just one more quick Brewers thing. I was listening to our boy Steve Sparky Pfeiffer on 12:50 a.m. The Fan. Catch Wisconsin Sports Daily weekdays 2 to 5. Catch me filling in for Sparky on July 5th in just a couple of weeks there on Wisconsin Sports Daily on 12:50 a.m. The Fan. But he was talking about this Garrett Mitchell situation, who is healthy and tearing up the minors, but the Brewers have a bit of a logjam in center field right now. You bringing up Mitchell, or are you riding things out with the 2 guys that they have right now manning center field?
Shit. No, Mitchell brings a little bit more power.
Yeah.
I like Sal Frelick a lot, but no, I don't know. Like, I'd like to see Mitchell a little bit more. I want to see what he can do up here. I'd like to see him over Tyler Black getting the call up next time. Like, I think Tyler Black still needs more seasoning in the minors, but like Garrett Mitchell, I've been watching his numbers in the minors, and he's out of control.
Dude, he had a legit inside the park home run the other day. It wasn't like, a guy dove for the ball or you got caught in the corner or something like that. He just hit one in the gap and just like a gazelle ran around the bases, and it was standing up. You didn't even have to slide in. It was a stand up inside the park home run.
And he's another guy that's, he's a plus defender also. Like, I don't know, man. Like there's some of those things where it's like I'd be good with bringing up Mitchell, and then every now and then, you let Christian Yelich DH or something. Like
Yeah.
I'm good with him switching with Frelick.
The Brewers have never been a team.
It's not like Sal isn't going to get any playing time when Garrett Mitchell comes up. Garrett Mitchell, he's never gotten a fair shake yet. I mean, yeah, you're in a pennant race essentially. You're running away with it, but also, it's like I would like Christian Yelich to be able to have days off. And what, you're just going to put another lefty out there? Fine, good. I'm good with it because I want a healthy Christian Yelich is what's going to help this team in the playoffs. I was scared earlier in the year when he went down with that little back injury and his back tightness. I was like, oh fuck, this is going to be another year of Christian Yelich just having little naggy injuries. And
but he's bounced back from that.
Yeah, it's been great. They've all been great.
And the Brewers have never been one to shy away from those logjam type. I've interviewed David Stearns and Matt Arnold and other guys in the organization when they've had these types of situations, and they would always say two things. They would say, one, that's a good problem to have when you have too many good players for a particular position, and two, these things tend to work themselves out, and they mean that in two ways. Like the best player will emerge. Like if there's somebody out there who deserves to be out there every day, then they'll show that, and if not, then they'll know which guy to put out there on a day-to-day basis because they know how to do that. Or ultimately, it's a 162-game season. Guys get injured, and there will be stretches where you'll need every single one of those guys. So they've never shied away from a situation like that in the past. I don't see why you would start now.
Yeah. No, is Owen Miller still up at the major, or is he back in the minors again?
There was a bunch of moves before today's game. He might have been among them. I don't know exactly what.
Like I said, when I texted you earlier, it was because one of our friends was messaging me NBA shit. If we want to transition into that, and it was literally just pictures of players that used to play for the Bucks, where it's like, oh, these are like future Hall of Famers.
Dude, you sent me into an all-out panic.
I was panicking because the Wi-Fi was out at the gym. I was like asking people, like, did something happen? Am I missing it? I went to go check the goddamn TV to see, like, was there like a breaking trade? No, it was just that Vegas fucking sent me a picture of Pau Gasol. Like the picture wasn't loading, and I'm like, yeah, he played for us. Like Gallinari, like you got like.
Well, I was in a panic for two reasons. One, if there was Bucks news and your phone's blowing up, why isn't mine? What's wrong with my friends? And two, what is this Bucks news? But there was no Bucks news. There was nothing happened. Something did happen tonight, but it had nothing to do with the Bucks.
Yeah, and then I get out of the movie theater and fucking he's texting me. He's like, get in the group chat. Like, trades are happening. I'm like, did we fucking trade Brooke Lopez or Chris Middleton? My girlfriend was outside having a cigarette. I legitimately told her we traded Chris Middleton, and
a trade happened, not trades. A trade happened. And it was Mikal Bridges to the Knicks, the New York Villanova Knicks, for was it four firsts, a swap, and a second.
Mikal Bridges is worth 4 firsts.
Dude, I don't. The NBA trade market continues to amaze me, man. I remember when the Rudy Gobert trade happened, and I was like, people were like, oh, this is going to break the trade market. And I was like, no, it won't. People will just look at that and go, that's crazy. And then things will go back to normal. But I don't know that that's the case. I think NBA teams legitimately don't believe in the draft and that they can build that way. So they're willing to trade these picks for a more sure thing.
Yeah, I mean, if you're ready to contend and you think you're ready to make that next step, like you trade for an NBA player. Like you're not, I'm going to load up on picks and get Zach Edey.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And this year's draft seems especially bad.
Bronny James.
I don't know much about college basketball, but this year's draft seems especially bad.
Yeah, if the Bucks go get a wing, cool. The big thing is like there's the Brooke Lopez trade rumors that are going around right now. Like, are we?
That seems to be where the most smoke is. There's a little Bobby smoke. Pat Connaughton is obviously available if anybody wants to take that off the Bucks' hands. But the most smoke seems to be around Brooke Lopez.
Yeah. I mean, I could even see like Horst likes his 3-team trades. So it's like, you send Pat somewhere, Brooke somewhere. somebody kicks something useful over from wherever Brooke goes to wherever Pat's going to end up.
Sure. Yeah,
like
that makes sense.
Like I don't know. Pat Connaughton has no trade value. Like that's why I was so high on trying to get Josh Giddey, because I'm like, it's essentially Pat Connaughton, except he's got an upside still in his career. Like he's not on.
Well, I think the value in Connaughton, if I'm not mistaken, is expiring contract. He has one year left on his deal, right? So if you want to, or am I wrong about that?
Yeah, and then it's like veteran presence and like hustle plays. Like there are things that he could bring to, especially a younger team, like in Oklahoma City, which they're not going to make that trade now because they don't need him.
Yeah,
they got Caruso, he is a better player. The Rockets could use a guy like Pat Connaughton if they're getting ready to try to, get some of their younger dudes into like the playoff kind of spirit, because I think like you got Jalen Green and Alperen Şengün that are like definitely guys that are going to be, they're going to be knocking on the door at a couple all-star appearances throughout their careers, probably. I mean, Şengün's pretty much a younger Sabonis. Not as good yet, but he needs better pieces around him. I don't know what the Bucks can even financially do on the trade market without getting rid of one of our 5 starters. And I don't think with the way Middleton played in the playoffs, it's going to be him. There's no way Chris Middleton gets traded. His 22 is going to be up in the rafters. Giannis and Dame are obviously not getting traded unless like
yeah, I've seen some of that Middleton stuff. I don't think there's anything to that.
No, the Bucks would be stupid to do it.
I think the most likely guy, and I say this because A, it makes sense, and B, there's a lot of smoke, and usually, now not always, especially not this time of year, because a lot of misinformation is being thrown out there to throw teams off the trail, to not let other teams know what you're going to do. Like there's a lot of espionage going on right now with the NBA draft being less than 24 hours away. But usually where there's smoke, there's at least a little bit of fire. I think they are probably shopping Brooke around. I've heard 3 interesting destinations and names of guys coming back in return for Brooke Lopez. Drew, I'll throw them at you one by one. You tell me what you think of them. First, go ahead. What?
You're gonna say? I thought you were gonna tell me to guess which ones. I know Orlando's the big one.
Oh no, I hadn't heard Orlando. What's that? What's coming back from Orlando?
Jonathan Isaac, and there was one other player.
Okay. No, the 3 that I heard was a deal with Oklahoma City, and I don't know all the other pieces. The major pieces is all I'm talking about here. Oklahoma City, and you get Steven Adams in return. You're not really upgrading.
He's coming off his ACL being torn, though.
Yeah, I'm not interested in that.
But
now the other 2, I do find interesting.
Let me make a case for Steven Adams, though. He's got a really sick Bible tattoo for a white guy. Like it's pretty
fair.
No, Steven Adams, he's a pro's pro though, and like he's a guy that he plays that center position well. He's a great defender and he's a really good rebounder, but he's also a guy that's not gonna score outside the paint for you.
No.
Pop-up guy. Like that's it. And like that, if that's what the Bucks want to do with this offense, then I'm okay with that. Okay.
I wouldn't love the deal. The other 2 names, and again, I don't know the other pieces involved. I don't know money. I've always been very transparent about the fact I don't understand NBA salary caps and aprons and all the other bullshit, and I don't think I'll ever bother doing the studying to understand it. But if it's possible, getting Brandon Ingram away from New Orleans would be pretty sick in some kind of Brooke Lopez trade. That I would do in a heartbeat. And I know if you do that at that point, you're really getting into like super team territory. You already got Giannis and Dame, and the whole world is rooting against you because of it, especially with it being in old Milwaukee. But man, I welcome that. If they can find some way, because they're saying Brandon Ingram is not coming back to New Orleans, that there's going to be some kind of sign and trade worked out with somebody. And Brooke Lopez eats up a lot of the money that would come back the other way in a trade for Brandon Ingram, and he brings a lot of things to the table that I think would fit well with the Milwaukee Bucks.
Yeah, getting Brandon Ingram would be fantastic. I would take Brandon Ingram in a heartbeat. That'd be awesome. That would putting him in the starting rotation with Giannis and Dame and Chris, that's a ridiculous lineup. I would
really is.
totally go with getting Brandon Ingram here. I don't know how much I would work. That also, though, defensively does open up a hole for we need a center, which you could slide Bobby in offensively if you really had to. Or it's like then that's where you're going to go with the draft. Are you going to go get what's the name? Kyle Filippo with I don't know what the fuck his name is.
I don't know. I'm not sure.
Kyle
You're asking the wrong dude.
Flippies. Okay.
All right. And the third guy that I've heard, and then maybe you've heard some rumors I haven't that you want to throw at me, but Marcus Smart.
We've done this one a couple times where it's like they talk about Marcus Smart. I've also seen because Houston was so high on getting Marcus Smart. Like he's a cheater. He's a terrible defender. He slides underneath guys, but you know what? We didn't have anybody doing it on our team this year, so
yeah, if he's on the ball, cheater.
On you little green Dylan. I would take Marcus Smart, I guess. But then again, offensively, doesn't matter. The other one that I saw, which is I'm like, this could be a serious problem. Like the Damian Lillard and Pat Beverly thing survived itself for the most part, but they were talking about, like I heard Dylan Brooks, and I was like, oh Jesus, like we're gonna put Dylan Brooks with this team.
No,
I don't want that. That guy's amazing.
I have no interest in that weirdo. He's a fucking weirdo, dude, and I have no interest in him.
Yeah, he's the only guy in the NBA whose picture on like his little player card thing looks like a fucking mugshot. He looks like he got done telling people I didn't do it. Like that guy is. It's like he looks guilty all the time.
I'll pass on Dylan Brooks.
What?
I said I'll pass on Dylan Brooks. I'm good.
Yeah, I don't need Dylan Brooks. I do like that he always wants to fight his own teammates. That's kind of cool to watch from afar, but I don't.
You know what, Drew? If not, there will be moves, and we've heard that Doc wants to like reshape the roster more in his style. But if there aren't major moves on this roster, I'm okay with that because, and I don't want to turn into the Brooklyn Nets and the what if champs of 2021. But if this team is healthy, when you have Giannis, Dame, Chris, and it's something I've said a lot on this podcast, so forgive me for being redundant and repetitive, but going into a season, I think you assume health for all 30 NBA teams. If we're assuming health, man, give me the Bucks right up there with anybody, including the Celtics, who just won a championship, including the Knicks, who just went and got Bridges from Brooklyn. Like healthy, this Bucks team is good enough. If you can upgrade, if you can make it better, cool, great, do it, and let's go. But if they don't, I'm good. I know a lot of Bucks fans will be pissed. I'm gonna be okay with it.
Well, and like that's like what you said about us becoming we would start talking about us being a super team, dude. I don't care. We already have Lillard and Giannis. We have 2 top 75 players on our team right now.
Yeah.
Just load it up. I don't care. Go get another one. Go get Dame his ring and get Brandon Ingram a ring too.
Yep. The one rumor I've heard, and then we should wrap this up, that doesn't make any sense to me is Houston is going to somehow put together a package to get KD away from the Suns. The Suns aren't selling. The Suns aren't rebuilding. They're locked into KD and Booker. Like that's. I don't think they're going to be looking for draft picks. I know Houston has a whole lot of draft picks. I don't think Phoenix is going to be looking for draft picks to pair with Devin Booker and giving up Kevin Durant for it.
Well, here's my thing. You can always you have Booker under control. Bradley Beal could end up being a trade, a guy a trade asset. They just hired Mike Budenholzer, and we know that Bud wants his players to play defense, and Kevin Durant couldn't be fucking bothered to do it. Kevin Durant
he's gotten better, but he's not a defensive player.
At this point in KD's career, I don't think that you can honestly tell me that guy has any interest in playing team defense and doing anything but be a pure scorer or a facilitator. He does pass. He does.
He's one of the greatest scorers ever. So
yeah, but like
if you're gonna do something, be great at it. I understand.
Okay.
But I don't think, and if they are trading Kevin Durant, it's not going to be to Houston. It's going to be to somebody who can give them a superstar in return. They can reload and keep contending.
But okay, so then
contend at least.
See what the Rockets do. Maybe the Rockets give up Jalen Green or they give up Alperen Şengün. Maybe they do something goofy like that where they're like, this is maybe our future, but right now, especially if you load up a team with enough defensive players around KD, he could potentially carry you to maybe like by himself get you 28 wins.
Mm-hmm. Oh, KD is a great player, dude. He's still a top 10 player in this league, no doubt about
it. 15.
I would say 10, but I'm not going to do the list right now because it's getting to that point, Drew, that I told you it would get to where this room gets too hot for me to podcast from anymore. And if I run my air conditioner, it'll sound like I'm doing it from a boat with a motor on the back. So that's not really an option. So unless you have any final words, Drew, it's time to wrap up this episode for Ramie and Drew.
Yeah, no, Inside Out 2 was pretty good.
All right, good. That's Drew's review. He hasn't watched The Acolyte, but pretty sure it sucks.
No, I watched it through other mediums than just watching it on Disney Plus.
Okay, fair enough. And it looks bad. I'm not going to sit here and stand for The Acolyte. Sure. It looks real bad. NBA draft is tomorrow. I won't be able to podcast. Well, if something happens with the Bucks, we'll do a late night podcast if you're in.
Yeah, I'm up. I'm going up north again Thursday after work. So okay. We have Wi-Fi. Like we can do. I'm just gonna be doing it from sitting on a patio.
All right, that's great. So if something happens with the Bucks tomorrow, as we sit here on Wednesday night, broadcasting live to you on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter, if something happens on day one of the NBA draft, if the Bucks make a trade, we'll fire up the old podcast machine and come to you live again tomorrow. Until then, this has been episode 60 of Ramie and Drew. That's Drew Flaggy. I'm Ramie Makloff. Do what it says on the bottom of the screen there. Follow, like, rate, review, tell a friend on YouTube, Spotify, and Apple. Flex on some fools. Oh, we didn't even talk about this. Drew flexed on some fools on the basketball court. Were you surprised? I know it wasn't good, but were you surprised that I was like competent on a basketball court? I was confident, right?
Your body's a lot harder than I thought it was gonna be. You're like your body's a lot harder and a lot wetter.
Yeah, it was sweaty. It was a sweaty day out there on the court.
You're like a skipping rock.
I'm not gonna lie. Before I haven't played competitive, if you want to call it that. I haven't played competitive basketball since I can't remember when. I was legitimately worried I was going to go out there and either embarrass or hurt myself. I don't think either one of those things happened. I really don't, and I was pleased with that. That was where the bar was at. Don't get hurt, don't embarrass yourself, and I think mission accomplished.
Yeah.
All right, good. All right, I appreciate that. That's Drew Flaggy. I'm Ramie Makloff. We're flexing on you. I'm Ramie and Drew, episode 60. We'll talk to you next time.